Hi, this is Kathy Tibbles with WordPress Barista. I need to explain the difference between all of the options for SSL certificates. I've seen it come up in Facebook groups. I've had a lot of questions via email, questions from my clients. They're just everywhere. And there's a couple of different options that are confusing people. Number one, somewhere along the line, there's this free SSL certificate called Let's Encrypt. Another option is hosts. Hosts are installing SSL for free. Sometimes they say that they're installing it for free and then they end up asking you for like $60 or $70. Very confusing. Sometimes they say it's free, but then they want you to upgrade or pay annually. And then there's people charging, say, $30 to put it in. There's people like me charging $299, which is a big difference from zero. And then I've heard it just go up from there as far as expense goes, as far as how much it's going to cost to get it done, especially if you're paying by the hour. So here's the difference, and here's what this SSL certificate is, so you can decide which one you want to go with. Oh, and another option are the plugins. There's plugins that you can just install and it does it for you. So this is let me give you the overview so that you can decide. The certificate is something that's requested by, there's like this special key made on your hosting account. You take it to the certificate authority. Those are the people that sell those certificates. You give them the key. They kind of make this certificate that is encoded, and then it has a matching key. And then you take that certificate, you install it on your hosting account. Now that's free for most people if you use Let's Encrypt. And then you also have to prove, like that's the basic layer called a domain certificate. You can go up from there and you can get business certificates, and then you have to prove that you own the business. And then it goes up, banking certificates, and then they get more expensive. The free one is good enough for all the bloggers that I know. It just proves that you own the domain. It lets people know you're safe, and it gets rid of the warnings by Chrome. Okay, so that's the certificate. But just because it's installed on your host does not mean that you get rid of the Chrome warnings or that you have the green padlock. And it's the green padlock and the HTTPS that we want on our sites. So this is where the money comes in, or the plugin, or a host. So let's start with the free options. A host puts the plugin in there, and then this varies on the host a great deal. Some of them have a few boxes, like WP Engine has a few boxes where you can force the HTTPS in the login page. You can force it on all pages. It has some boxes like that. And then they recommend putting a plugin in. Some hosts just install the certificate and you're on your own to actually get the padlock there, which I'll explain in a bit. And then if you figure out how to get the certificate yourself and you want to do it via plugin, which is also free, then you add the plugin to your site, and there's lots of different boxes on that plugin. Like, do you want to forward these to a secure site? Do you want to secure your login page? Do you want to secure on and on? It goes. And so you just click the boxes for the ones that you want to secure, and it will forward everything around for you. The thing that's wrong with using a plugin is that it is forwarding your HTTP URL to the secure one. Basically, if you're forwarding things and you're relying on a plugin to do that forward, then it becomes a bit of a house of cards. You don't want to move anything because what if it breaks the forward? And one basic concept for security is that your website is like a house. Now, let's say you go on holiday. You lock all the doors and windows to your house. Now, if you leave just one door open, just one, Oh, everything else is locked up, but your front door is wide open. It's still not secure, even if it's your back door. So every single link has to be secure to get that green padlock or the green HTTPS. Does that make sense? So your URLs, everything coming in, the images that are displayed, your ads, everything on that page needs to be changed to a secure source. So the reason that we charge so much is that we, on your behalf, prove that you own the domain by changing DNS records. We get that certificate signing request from your host, the key that matches the certificate, and we do that for you. Buy the certificate, put it on your host, prove that you own the domain name. Then, instead of using a plugin, we go through and change your htaccess so that it does force any stragglers, but instead of clicking a box on a plugin that also can change your htaccess, and the plugins will add a forward on your site. We add a forward as well, but it's not reliant on a plugin. So if the plugin goes down, if you move your content to something else, if you don't use a plugin anymore, your site will still work. And we also go through the database and run a search and replace. So we find all of the links inside of your posts, in your widgets. We don't use a different process for that, but in your widgets, in your files, in your theme, in your ads, in the database, and we change all of those URLs to be secure. That is why we charge what we do, and it's not a big money maker for us. It takes us a lot of time to get that done, and it really depends on the site. So some sites are quite straightforward. Some sites, we can do scans and scans and scans trying to find that one little item that just will not make that green padlock show up. And it's a bit of a puzzle. And it's kind of fun, and that's our thing. That's what we do. So those are your choices. Free, but make sure it's actually installed, even if you use a plugin. Your host does it. Make sure they do all of it. So all of your pages have a green padlock. And then the third thing, the third option is to put that plugin on your site, check off all of the options, and leave that plugin on your site forever. Or hire somebody, which costs money. So it doesn't have to cost a ton of money. We do it for a flat rate, but it shouldn't be cheap unless they're not doing it right, unless they're just adding a plugin, which you could just do yourself because it's quite easy. And that is SSL. So if you want more information, go to wpbarista.com/SSL.